How many tax returns do you process it within a year? Well, what's your tax return count?
Somewhere between 250 and 300, about 280.
And how many of those do you process in January?
12 last year. I was going to say about 3 of those were new clients who couldn't get theirs done somewhere else. So probably only 9 were clients.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, let's take a step back then to the very beginning. I suppose when you were processing your tax returns, much like everybody else out there does.
Yeah.
What were things like?
Yeah, it's the same as everybody else, really. I think, we tended not to do an awful lot during the year, and then it started to sort of trickle in, summertime, late summer. And then we were running around, like headless chickens, December, January, overtime, last minute rushes. I remember one year, I think the last filing day was a Saturday. And although we got all the tax returns done, we had to, I think, post them at that stage. And I had clients coming on a Saturday, queues of them, and I had to photocopy them because obviously admin had gone home and the photocopier packed in. So I was effectively photocopying them through a fax machine. I was there all day Saturday, completely tearing my hair out. So we've had some hairy moments for sure.
Okay. And so what are the steps that you've taken to overcome that, to change that?
Well, we basically implemented a lot more chasing. So we now send out the request schedules very early on in the cycle. So they go out March. We send out all the Irish schedules March. We keep copies of those so that we can check items coming in with accounts records. But we basically chase religiously all through the year. We don't just wait till the deadline. So we're chasing the normal late ones that maybe come in November, December. We're now chasing those May with the hope to convert them from even being, the back end of the year. So that's happening. Standard letters going out on a regular basis, making sure that some clients only need interest. We know the dividends because we're doing them. We know the salary because we're recommending it. So there may only be one account for interest. So rather than wait, till November, December and ring them, we ring them in April and just ask for a bank authority, and just get it ourselves and crack on. So just a lot more chasing, a very rigorous cycle for 10, 11 months of the year.
And how labour intensive is that?
Not particularly. I mean, we've got printouts of the schedules from Iris, so we keep hard copies of what goes to the client. So the accounts team can see which ones we're still waiting for. They can see what information we want. So they would go through the account stuff, see maybe whether some of the information's in with the accounts records. Sometimes clients don't tell you, they don't understand the difference between the two departments. But not that labour intensive, given that the time spent is probably saving time December, January when you can afford it. So, I don't think we're spending any more time. We're just spreading the load.
Okay. And how receptive have your clients been to the chasing? I suppose where I'm coming from, Mark, is I'd like to think that other accountants out there must be chasing for their tax returns from as early as possible so that they don't have that January deadline. So how is what you're doing differ? Does it differ?
Well, we've attached to that a fee pricing process where if it's late, they get substantial penalties. That is now 100% extra on the fees if it's December, January. But we're also giving £20 discounts if it comes in April, May. So we've got, and July or August, I think, is the same fee. September, October is like 20-30% more. So there's a whole range of fee levels. So, those who don't want to be paying 100% could even get 20 quid refund if they bring it in early. So that, combined with chasing and prompting them to remember that there's penalties looming, that seems to do a lot more.
Brilliant. Okay. And well, are there other things in there? I mean, it still sounds too easy.
Well, no, I mean, it's, it's working out what information's required. So a lot of the time, some clients just never sent back the schedule that, contain the information such as it is. And we tended to wait till the very last minute to really chase them down. Whereas now we actually go through that schedule and work out what's needed, and we just find a way to get the information. As I say, bank interest can be obtained from the bank with authority. Building society interest can be obtained with authority. Dividends can be found online. So we could just send a tax return saying we've looked up the dividends based on last year's shareholding. If it's any different, let us know. And it usually isn't. So there's a lot of information we can get from the accounts department or from third parties or from the internet. And usually we don't start chasing that until later in the year. But I think it's just, bearing in mind we've been doing that for about 8 years. It's also about getting the clients to understand that message and why, just to make our life easier. But also we're telling them that they'll know their tax bill earlier. There'll be more time for tax planning. If the tax return comes in December, they'll find out with a few weeks to go what to pay. There won't be any time for us to plan to reduce that tax bill. So we're highlighting, the pain and the gain of having it done early.
The ratchet system in terms of the, going from an incentive to a penalty, I think that's in System Builder, isn't it? There are letters in System Builder that accountants can. Have you changed any of those to better effect, or are they,
No, I think we've changed a lot of them. We even did one letter where we basically asked for them to help us to get tax returns done early. So we made it sound like they were really doing us a favour. And I think we had a cartoon of, a sweaty, overworked cartoon accountant on the top of the letter. So we've changed quite a few bits. And obviously the penalties and the surcharge systems changed over the years. Originally, we just charged 50% extra if it was January. We've now got a sliding scale of about 5 different price levels.
Right.
But the principle's the same.
Yeah. And so at the risk of putting words in your mouth, this ultimately, it's about being consistent and training them.
Yeah, I mean, we have a target where we have to get so many tax returns out each week, come hell or high water. Right. So we know that we've got so many to do, so many weeks to do them in, and we try and get a level process, and the tax team are on targets to do that. So if they get to the end of the week and they've still got 3 to each target, then they're really rushing around trying to find 3 that they can do.
Brilliant. Okay. So describe for me a typical January, Mark.
Basically, we just do the normal work we normally do. It's mainly admin chasing down signed tax returns that have gone out earlier. But from a tax team point of view, there's very little work to be done. And probably phone calls, saying what tax do I have to pay, where do I pay it to? But the tax team have no tax returns to do. The admin team are chasing down final signed copies, and the tax department just electronically send them through Iris. So, they're just doing normal tax work, computation work, and getting the systems ready for the following year.
Sounds wonderful. And it's just, okay, well, brilliant. Is there anything else you can add to that?
Not really. As I say, I think the pricing system does help. A lot of people do want to bring it in early. When we did a deadline of, I think, October, which was the first one we did, not many people brought it in up until July, August, September. But then suddenly there was a huge rush in October, which just meant we had another January in October. So we decided to spread it even more so that every month has a different pricing level, which helps clients work out where they are. But it's also recognising the sort of perpetual late people, and then at client meetings telling them that they've been late for 3 years, and making them aware that the majority of our clients deliver on time, and we expect them to do the same this year. So a little bit of pressure on the really persistent late ones, plus the penalties. But I think most clients are happy to do that. They just are, just like most people, don't want to be doing that until they have to.
So how have you planned it in? Presumably if everybody bought theirs in by the end of sort of April, May, like you say, you don't want a repeat of a January just in May time. So are they happy with the expectation set that you're just going to schedule, process, and all the ones that you've got in between then and whenever?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have big backlogs. I say, because there's different pricing levels, you tend to find clients are different. So there are some who always bring it in May. The 20 quid refund is an extra bonus, but they would have done that anyway. Some realise that at the end of June, the 20 quid disappears, so they're now prompted to do it end of June. There's another rush at the end of August. So although there are sort of peak times, they tend to be every sort of month almost. But what we're finding is that we can get out a consistent number every week, and the time lag for doing that is probably at most 2 weeks. We might have 2 weeks work in 1 week, in which case putting half of them into next week's not a problem for clients. But we don't have any that sort of hanging around for months because we had them too early.